So I've really been enjoying this rain deck, and although the deck itself hasn't changed, my strategy playing the deck has. And I think I wanted to share with you guys my general strategy because the last video went through a lot of the play-by-play what I was planning for. I think this time we'll do more of a general strategy guide as to what I aim for at the start of each game and how I think through each game. So we'll skip over some of the the intermediate parts of the games I think this time, and we'll go through the main game plans. But in case you didn't see the last video, the deck's pretty simple. We have the Ysgith, Fulmar, Melusine, Dagur. Dagur is usually my win condition nowadays. In almost any game, he's my win condition. And although the Melusine coming back 3 times is a solid choice, people seem to have adapted to playing around that, and it almost never works. But that also means you have Ysgith for Heatwave target, you have Melusine for Heatwave target, or removal, on both of those. You have Covenant of Steel, which also has to get Heatwaved or answered with a big card. You have right to bring back Covenant of Steel, assuming the Heatwave or Melusine, which almost always happens. So they really can't get to the Dagur. That's the point here. And then we have the discard package, and Bride of the Sea to replay a Alchemy, which is going to be the right most of the time, or Offering. Offering to the Sea with either Flamenca out or Dagur out is a win condition a lot of the time. It's just so big, especially if you replay it with Bride. And then we have the bronzes and such, like with the discard Morkvarg. We have Hame Flamenca, very key card, really good value. The Maxi for consistency. Then we have the Blessing, Singer, Priest, Hermits. The Singer works really well with Hame, works really well with Hermit. Solid 8 when it comes down by itself, we have a lot of damage stuff. And I thought about taking out Freya's Blessings and actually including some removals, like Giga Scorpion Concoction or Delirium. As someone pointed out last time, Delirium is a 5. I had to try it out, took it back out. The reason I kept Freya's Blasting in is because I found that the option to bring back either Singer or Hermit for combos with Flamenca, mostly Singer, or if you don't have Flamenca, to bring back the Hermit to get off a couple heals for her, and the option to bring back the Hame Skald if you're not drawing into your key cards is actually pretty good, because if you bring back Skalds, right, you can play 4 Skalds over the course of the game. You can play Coral over the course of the game, and burn outright, so that's 4 discards, 6 discards, 7 discards. At that point, you're almost guaranteed to see every card in your deck, especially if you have Maxi. So that's the deck, real brief. Let's go into the general guide then. Against monsters here, my only goal is for a long round 3 with Dagur. Now, if we can bait out a lock here, which we just did, if we can bait out this lock, they have no answer to Dagur. I've never seen one of these fruit decks playing Heatwave. I've played 10 or 12 of them at this point. None of them played a Heatwave. Their other removal seems to come from Wispas with 6 damage, and occasionally they run a Parasite, again 6 damage, and one of them played a Yrden on me, probably for a mirror match tech. So now that we've gotten rid of this lock, even a raw Dagur without Defender will most likely stick here, and that's what I wanted to get. Because we're not guaranteed to draw our Defender, we do have it in this case, but if they do, for example, have their Heatwave this time, our Dagur will stick, even if they remove our Defender. And you can play around the Yrden, like I mentioned. You can damage your own guys down, so when they Yrden you, Melusine damages them down, Cultist damages your own guys down. It also boosts itself, so that's not ideal. But your Melusine damages things down. Bride of the Sea playing Offering to the Sea and Offering to the Sea itself both damage your own guys down. If you don't have the Hame Flamenca to heal it up, and they do a Yrden on you, it resets all your guys, and their Yrden swing isn't as big. So here we're doing that. We're pushing here like we wanted to. Now, you won't always win round 1, which is fine, because a lot of the Monsters players will go all in for a round 2 push. And it's essentially the same thing as our long round 3, as long as you have your Dagur. Now here, I'm going to tell you already, I know what happens in this game. I'm recording this afterward. This game is very valuable because it shows what happens if the Monsters players know what you're doing and they play around a Dagur round 3. So that's what this guy's going to do here. So keeping that in mind, we know that normally here, I almost always will put down Ysgith immediately. Either to bait Heatwave. We do not have our Melusine, which isn't great, but I always play Ysgith here first to either bait Heatwave or to help secure the round. Sometimes they'll pass, going to a long round 3, counting on their points they can get in the round 3 to win. Other times they'll Heatwave the Ysgith. Other times they'll keep playing into it, and the getting the points is what you need to get to the long round 3. And then at some point, if they start pushing their big card, it becomes a long round 2 with a short round 3. And that's fine too, because they'll have to commit their Mamunas for that. So there goes the Ysgith. Now this round's going to be pretty interesting, so I think I'll speed through a little bit of it. Now here I want to talk about what we've set up. I haven't activated my Ysgith yet. I set up my Defender because I want to, if he keeps going, I know I'm going to need to commit Fulmar. Fulmar's worth a lot. With the Defender set up, when we play Fulmar, it triggers both Scenario and gives him Rain, so it makes a bigger swing with the Fulmar, so he won't be able to as easily pass, or drop a She Who Knows and pass. And we also have the Fulmar set up. Now here we put the Rain in the rear row, the range row, to kill off these guys. And it worked. Normally you'd put it in the melee row, but we can use our leader if we need to. It looks like we're in a situation where he might be abusing what our deck does, and knowing what we do and playing around it. So, as you can see here, it's pretty close, and this is the point where we determine if we're going to a longer round 3, or a shorter one. And here he's going to commit his actual Bloody Mistress. Now, knowing that, we might have to throw down our Dagur. If you look at what we have here, doing so should guarantee us going up a card. Fulmar's Order will unfortunately only do one turn unless we use a leader, and then we don't get our Melusine back. We haven't drawn Melusine, so we don't need Bride for our right, and we can count on offering with either Fulmenica or writing back our Dagur for a huge round 3. Now here the choices are, there's two choices, right? We could do Storm and try and get rid of these fruits, or we could do the front row and get rid of these Self-Eaters. I would choose to do the ranged row here. I'm going to save one charge that lets us have access to our Phrase Blessing off Bride, which is good. Now here he could pass, and we're still not quite up. If I did the melee row with the Storm, we would go up here. However, I thought he would continue pushing, and it looks like he's going to. So at this point, offering to the sea is just a massive swing, and at this point we secured the round with our Dagur, so I'll So now, if we think about the overall game plan, it was long round 3 with Dagur as a guaranteed win condition. We no longer have long round 3 Dagur. We could bring back Dagur if Melusine's Order goes off and get Bride of the Sea with 1 leader charge. But here's the thing, we no longer have a Fulmar to combo with it, and 2 damage a turn from Melusine isn't great. So my new plan is he's probably going to play a Self-Eater. He's probably going to fill a row, because the Monsters players like to fill rows with Sabbath. Our new game plan is going to rely on Heme Fulmenica. Right? So we're going to heal with Heme Fulmenica, that's going to give us value. We're going to bring back Fulmar, and then we're going to use Melusine and set up a big Storm with Fulmar and count on the Storm damage and heal our guys. That's what I want to do here, and so if we look at what we have in our discard pile, I'm looking here to decide if Dagur or Fulmar is more valuable in the game. And in the end, Fulmar is going to be more valuable, because Dagur would only get activated by Melusine's Rain at 2 a turn, whereas Fulmar can transform 2 a turn from a Rain into like 6 or 8 a turn if he plays a Self-Eater. If he does not play a Self-Eater and doesn't Row Swarm, which I think he will, and they almost always do. Look, he's going to Ownermancy for it here, or Mamuna's going to pull it out of his deck. Similar. They always want to get their Self-Eaters out. Now, if we look at the number of units in his row, at this point, Fulmar's more valuable. We're going to make the Storm with Fulmar. That's our game plan. We're just going to get value from healing, cultists, and the Spawning of Sirens as we want to, and that's going to be our plan. And we'll skip ahead and fast forward through this a little bit so you can see how it turns out. So here we put as many things behind Defender as possible, getting value from healing, and at this point we learned he actually was playing a second lock. So it's a good thing we had our Defender here. 2 locks is interesting, but if we look at here, what's going to happen, we've gained enough points from our healing. Flamenca really coming in clutch here for a ton of value. And the storms, every turn, we got a whole bunch of storm value. It was enough to win the game, but we had to adjust our long round 3 play. And this guy we were playing, he did a very good job. This I wanted to show you because if you look at our hand, in this game we drew our big cards. We have Dagur, we have our Offering to the Sea and Bride for double play on that, and he's playing potentially a Koshé deck. Usually I've seen Koshé with this. Some people play Koshé and Caranthir Mamuna, and they renew the Caranthir to get doubles on both. Interesting, but here, knowing our hand, we've already boosted our Melusine, and with Dagur in our hand we could spawn a lot of range from our Melusine. With this kind of hand, I usually push around too. Now the issue with it is, Berna can't draw us anything good, because if she does, we have to discard a good card. We can discard Flamenca, that's okay, but we can't discard our Dagur, Bride, and Offering. But the reason we're going to play here is because if he is playing Koshé, which I think he is, we can force it out. If he isn't, Bride with, well, Dagur with double Offering is incredibly strong, as long as there's any units out, and we have Flamenca to heal our own guys. Here we have to play our Berna. Thankfully it doesn't draw us anything good that we wanted to, or anything good, so we don't have to lose any of our good cards. But right now we're getting our Melusine boosted up. We don't have a cultist to reactivate her order, so I'm saving it. And here we find out what he's going to Caranthir. And there's the Koshé. So this is why I like the deck, it's so flexible. We can set up a very short round 3, good for us, bad for him. Melusine comes back. We're just going to try and get as big as possible, and Dagur might not actually have value because he has armor on all of his Indraga Larvas. Let's see how this goes. So here we are in a round 3, that's pretty short. Medium length actually, we both have 6 cards. He managed to avoid going down a card, but we removed his leader ability and his Koshé combo. And then again though, if we look at our hand, we have no access to a defender. Because we need our, we need our right to bring back our Melusine, because Melusine's like an 18. He's not going to be playing a Heat Wave, most likely. If he is, that's okay, because we also have Dagur, we have 2 massive cards. One of them should be enough to secure the game. He's not playing Squirrel, I don't think. Some of the Relic decks are actually playing Bleeding Effigy as a mirror match deck. There's Mamuna, so this is going to be pretty big for him, but again, we have our Fulmar. He's not going to most likely have any removal. So going into this is similar to the previous game, a medium length round. Rely on Fulmar against a deck without removal. And we can even go for Hermit first here, try and get some healing out. It can bait a lock, because they might be concerned about that. And if we look at our Rains here, we're going to save Rains for Bride. So we're not going to use them to transform with Fulmar. Fulmar only gets his points on Storm from his own deployment of Rain, and then also Melusine's. Now there's Bloody Mistress. Now here's where we're going to play a Rain. We'll see if they hit her. If not, it's fine. We will bring back our Melusine and go from there. The reason I want to show you that, guys, this is the flexibility of the deck. We don't always need a 10 card round 3. We don't need a 3 or 4 card round 3 either. But you can combine the aspects of the deck into whatever your opponent's doing. So here we thought that playing a Koshé in a short round 3, normally that's good for you, but Melusine's not going to beat this. A long round 3 might not be good for us either. It'd be better because he's going to overswarm with what he's doing, but we can handle pretty much anything the opponent's decks throw at us. And even if we lose some big cards from doing a round 2 push, so like we lost Defender here, we brought back Melusine with right, we lost our right, although we can replay it. Fulmar here represents a lot of points, and we know we're going up against a monsters player. They like to have Sabbath, they really fill the rows, and look at this, Fulmar is going to absolutely crush him. Now here's the thing, we could use our rain here, and this is going to make it so we can't. But we're going to do this. If we do 2 on this front row, Bride will replay our... we can put a rain on the Ranger next turn, we'll still have 4 for Bride to replay, right? And look at this. At this point, he's going to have the lock. There it is. So he had a lock. He answers our dagger. That's fine. We're getting points from Fulmar anyway. And we're going to bring back Melusine. We have Offering. If we Offering and bring back our Fulmenica, it's also worth a lot of points. So at this point, we're going to have to use our last Rain. And we'll play our Bride and decide what we want to bring back. Melusine's most likely worth more. But Hamlet Fulmenica's going to be worth quite a bit too. With our, would have been worth quite a bit too, considering I think he's going to take damage from Offering. And even in this type of game where he locks our dagger, the point is you can still get value of Fulmar as damage even without the dagger. He's pretty close here, but Offering will seal this. And yeah, so even with dagger gets locked and answered, the deck can still win a round. This one I wanted to show you. This is the round 3 of the game, playing against Nature's Gift Swarm. Now, look at the Fulmar here. We have Dagger Fulmar. Now, these decks don't have enough removal. If they don't have removal, you can just rely on this Dagger Fulmar combo a lot of the time. So the reason I want to show this is actually because it's very interesting. If we look at how many points here, we don't need to write back anything. We're just going to show you the power of the double Offering finisher I mentioned previously. Double Offerings is a fantastic finisher if you have Dagger. And it's also a fantastic finisher if you have like Fulmenica. It's not as big, but it's really close because you have a row full of units that are damaged by Offering. You get the boosted Siren and you heal your guys back. It's pretty big. So we'll actually go through this round 3. I skipped over the earlier part. You can see what happened. He set up a Whisperer. We don't have an answer to Whisperer. We can't kill it right away. But we're not really concerned because we have Fulmar to damage the whole row. Now, if he killed off our Fulmar, I would have use this Bride to bring back Fulmar to use his order again instead of Offering. So we weren't all in on that Fulmar living, because there's no way in my mind he kills it twice. Because there goes the Force Protector he hadn't played yet. We know his last card's gonna be Herald Gord, so we know he doesn't have an answer to Melusine or Dagger at this point, and the Force Protector can't kill our Fulmar, so it wasn't a gamble to play Fulmar like that. And look how many points he's getting. Now, I just want to show, look how big Offering was, right? That wasn't that big compared to this one's going to be. He's up by 19 if I saw correctly. No, he was up by, not 19, but look at this. And then we have the Storm. This is the power of the double Offering to the C finisher while you have Dagger. Look how many points we got from it. He went from 74, I think, to 38, something like that. Here's Herald Gord, and it's going to be massive, right? He's going to get +1 on it. He gets a Whisperer to spawn, but it's not enough. This is the power of the double Offering finisher. If you don't have something, like if you don't have the Storm set up, we had a couple Storms set up in that case, but now this game I wanted to show you just how we can be even some of the perceived strongest things in the game. So we're going to have Fruits of Ysgith. The first round here is just going to be some discarding. We'll get to round 2. Now what's going to happen in this game is our opponent's going to go for a round 2 push. Like you probably saw in the deck profile in the other games, we have no targeted damage removal. So we can't remove cards. And you can imagine that our opponent thinking here that we don't have an answer to anything. You may not know that, but we don't. Is anything he does, he will get to do. Any of his engine setups. So in this case, it's going to be Nadarin, and we'll show you just how much, well, we can handle some of these massive cards and combos. So I want to go through this entire round 2. We'll go through it at regular speed for this, because there's some things I want to talk about. Now, the deck cannot kill the Nadarin. We don't have targeted damage. And he doesn't have his 2 fruits. Now, the only thing I care about, is the same for round 3 here, is an unanswered Dagger with Storm and Offerings to the Sea. You don't even really need the Offerings to the Sea at this point. Storm's usually enough to do it because they're going to Sabbath So they're going to stack a row full of units real quick, and you can get 4, 5, even 6 turns of Storm off. Now here we can see that I was just kind of hoping, or thinking he might not go all in, so we just did a discard. More consistency in our hand. We don't need the points quickly, because if he's committing heavily like this, he's not going to pass like 7 or 6 cards or something. He's going to try and win the game here. With that in mind, we just need our dagger and we should be fine. So if we look at what he's set up, he's up by 38. Now the thing is, Covenant of Steel is kind of required. Sometimes they play locks, a lot of times they play locks, but if they have a heat wave randomly teched in, they're not going to be able to answer dagger as well as this defender. So this is Self-Eater. Now like I mentioned, he's going to get all of his value he could ever want off this card. The thing is, we can answer it. Now, this is one thing for all of these Crucible Ysgith matchups. I mentioned it earlier. The first game I showed an opponent playing around. Our opponent in the first game did a really good job of playing around our deck, right? He didn't let us get the massive Melusines. Well, we got them pretty big. But he didn't let go to this scenario with the long round 3 versus us. With Dagger, they just can't win that scenario. And we're going to show that off here. In this case, it's a round 2, but you get the idea. We're already down 54, but we're not concerned. Now at this point, this is the risky turn where he might pass. I didn't think he was going to. Fulmar, the damage from Fulmar could threaten him, but I think they want to keep going. That was his best chance to pass. I didn't think he'd take it, but he could have. Now, Fulmar, we don't even need leader charges here. We could use one. Here's the thing, we could use one to guarantee Fulmar's Storm goes for another turn, but I'd rather go for the long round 3 because at this point I'm confident in winning round 2. I'm confident we've won this already, even though we're down 57 points. We're not down 57 points anymore, now it's just 35. But there's the Bloody Mistress, and Offering to the Sea is now going to come down, and you're going to see just the work it does. He's currently up by 56 again, and look at this. And then we pass. We went from being down 56 to up 3. That's a 59 point turn. At this point, there's nothing he can do. Like I mentioned earlier, a long round with a protected dagger, unless he has a Yrden, it's just too strong. They can't stop without Yrden, and I don't think he's playing Yrden because he played the Double Mamuna. He had the lock tech, I believe. Actually, that's a different guy. He might not have it, but I don't think he's playing the Yrden. And look, he's gonna get this row's full again. What do? Do we just throw down a random Burna, or we throw down our cultist? We're gonna go with Burna. And probably just discard stuff. We don't need this. But as you can see, against things that can't answer dagger, I'm not concerned. We're just going to keep damaging Melusine as much as possible, by the way, in case he does have that Yrden. But look at this. What's he going to do? This is the strength of the deck. It has win conditions and it's the popular deck. This is a very popular deck, Roots of Ysgith. At least what I'm seeing in Pro Rank. What am I, like 2470-ish now? Not very high with this deck. I guess it's decent. But we're not like 2600 right now. But I see a lot of these Roots of Ysgith decks with when I'm playing Skellege. So it's really popular in my games. And it does super well against it. Now here, this is where we lose a turn of Storm because we didn't use a leader charge. We wanted to save that for another Syndragith is Right round 3. We could use the right to bring back Melusine and then a second card. So I was thinking for round 3 to Melusine and then bring back Dagger as well. But here, if we look at this, we're just going to damage our Melusine again. The rain will boost us up, and what is he going to do? Our points are just so high. And you've seen that he's been hovering around 90 for a long time. And we take the round here. And that should do it for this round. The round 3, we have double leader charge. We have, yeah, he's going to GG because there's no way he can win round 3. And that's a perfect example of how the deck works in these long rounds.
Ardently so.
To finish off this video then, I want to show a full game against a no unit-ish, I think it's no unit, Bomb Scoia tael. Now here's the thing. Our deck doesn't rely on targeted damage. We do rely pretty heavily on rain and storm a lot of the time. So without the rain and storm damages, how do we do? And again, we have engines, right? Against a heavy control deck like this, they can potentially heatwave our defender or Melusine and also deal with Dagger. because Dagur won't get a whole bunch of boosts. When we play Dagur, most of the time we rely on, if you don't have a protection for Dagur, what you do is you have your Storm set up, or 2 rows of Rain, or something along those lines, and then when you play them, in the start of their turn, they take the damage, usually at least 4, so you have an 8, and Dagur can't get killed by a damage card. But against something like this, he can actually do that. And the other thing is, we don't want to rely on, we don't want stuff to be banished a lot of time, right? We can handle either Melusine or something else getting banished, but if he's playing Madoc with bombs, which I'm going to tell you down he is, he's playing a Madoc deck. I think I said that earlier. He can use Northern Winds to banish more than one unit. He can banish stuff for our Flay's Blessings. He can damage down something and then banish it with the bomb. So he could, for example, like that, he could rebuke our Melusine and then hit it with Northern Wind and banish it. He can use the Purify Bomb on our Defender, then nothing's protected. Normally the thing is if they deal with Defender, they normally kill it, so maybe Simloth double rebuke, maybe Curse of Corruption when you throw it down, those type of things. But if he's going to just purify it, we can't bring it back to Syndicate Right for protection. So he has a lot of answers to what we want to do. And I want to show you guys how we can handle with something even like this. So there's the Madoc. We get the 4 bleeding, we throw down the cultist here, it's going to damage the bleeding guy, so theoretically we save a point or 2 of value there, because we're going to do the bleeding won't get us full duration, so we've gained value. Rebuke comes down, that is a force protector though, that's not a small commitment. At this point we're just going to bring him back and do it again. He's used the rebuke and he's used his force protector rebuke, I don't think he has another one. And again, we want to get the value, we deny him value off of this bleeding if possible. So yeah, I thought this would be really interesting to finish with, to show you guys how this deck can handle even some things you might think that it's, well, maybe not handle, but how it performs against something that you'd think it does poorly against. There's a 3rd rebuke. Now at this point, we're going to heal here and get this going. Now, I don't think he's going to have any more removal, at least that's what I thought when I started this game, but then gotta remember, it's a bomb deck. I think he's playing very, very low unit count. I'm not sure it's full no unit. I didn't see a Sabertooth yet. I don't think he has a Sabertooth. I don't recall. But at this point, look, we're gonna have to pass. Scald isn't good because we could draw something and discard a key card from our hand. And then I want definitely want Defender to protect our Ysgith and our Fulmar here. So as you can see, he's getting his value from his deck, right? Now, the question for me at this point is, how do I win this game? Because thinking about it, Dagur is normally the win condition if Melusine's not guaranteed, and he's probably going to Heatwave Melusine. The thing is, he's not going to have units for Dagur to get boosted off of rain damage. So already, we have to come up with a new long-term game plan compared to what we normally do. And really, I'm struggling to come up with a game plan at this point as I'm thinking here. He's going to go for his leader charges, and that makes everything a lot easier. Now, I kind of suspected he might have to do this when I passed up 10, and he'd already played his Force Protector. He's going to go for another bomb. And the reason here is that, if you think about it, without those charges, how does he actually kill our Fulmar? He's used 3 Nature's Rebukes. His bombs can only reach 4. And without leader charges, our Fulmar might actually just stick at 6. And so might Dagur. So here's the idea, and here, again, Offering to the Sea, normally a massive finisher card. Not actually getting much value, and we're going to throw back Burn a Brand, and here's why. We could draw poorly and be forced to discard a key card, and I don't need her. If we drew right, Bride of the Sea, or Melusine, a combination of those off our Burna, then we're in huge trouble, because we have to lose something. We don't need Burn a Brand. We already have the cards I need. I'm not going to rely on Melusine. I'm sure they have some type of tael removal, probably more than one. So I'm not going to rely on her, so I'm not going to focus on drawing into her. What I really want are these medium point value cards that are just outside of his damage range. And we've got Melusine anyway, so it's fine. This hand's perfect for what we want. Now here, if we think about, what do we know he's playing? He's playing damage, he's playing Madoc. Our real win condition this round is going to be Hainlife Feminica. So normally we go for the big Melusine. We couldn't set that up. We didn't want to bring it back. He's going to have tael removals. Probably Heatwave, maybe Curse of Corruption, maybe, what else is there? Triangle then a Triangle, maybe he's playing Alzur, we don't know. He's not playing Alzur though, because he would have played Alzur's Thunder instead of Rebukes in that case. But at 6 points, our cards are going to live and get their value. So I'm not relying on the tall cards, I'm not relying on the engines. There's the Curse of Corruption we mentioned, but I'm just going to pull that back immediately with our Syndigraph right. There's nothing else really good to bring back, and I was kind of expecting it to die, so we should play it again. Now remember, our plan here is to get value of Heme Flaminica to win. The heal damage, especially with Madoc doing random damage, is going to be massive. There's a Purify. I think we mentioned that as a possibility earlier, and that's a huge issue because now our Geddon gets vulnerable, and Heat Waving Melusine is not actually worth that much to him because the rain orders aren't going to do a lot, and if he has a Heat Wave, it's best used on this Geddon Youth right now. There it is. So he did have a Heat Wave on the Geddon Youth. So far, his deck is doing exactly what it needs to. Now we play Melusine. With Curse of Corruption and Heat Wave gone, there's no way Melusine's going to die in my opinion, and I need value from healing. How do we get value from the healing? We use Melusine's Order. We can get our cultists down to a... Our Flaminica could go... Okay, there's a Geralt. Now, that's got to be the last tall removal. But again, we weren't really relying on Melusine. We're relying on this Heme Flaminica for our real value this round. That's what we decided at the beginning. That's also why we want to make sure if he did not kill our Melusine, we're going to make sure that we didn't damage our Flaminica. Another thing is if he damages Flaminica, we can go for Bride of the Sea with a rain charge and bring back our the Singer. So we look here, we can bring back Melusine, or we actually have a Singer, and a Freya's Blessing into Singer would be really good. Fulmar can't get a Storm value, so he's just kind of here. We can go for 1 Rage of the Sea into Freya's Blessing. We go for 2 into our Melusine. But I really want to go for the... what's it called? The Freya's Blessing. Like I said earlier, we're going to rely on the healing here, and these medium point value cards. Because that's really where our value is going to be. He had the tall removal. He might... I don't think he has another one at this point, but Melusine's only an 11. And playing into something he might have, I don't think it's worth it. Now, he could kill our Singer here, but we really just want to rely on these medium value cards. And there's actually a Whisperer, so Fulmar could actually get value. But the reason I wanted to show you guys this round is, when we got into this game, we had to adjust our entire game plan. Now, part of the plan might surface here with Fulmar raining this row and then maybe a Storm turn or two, but it's so far off of what you'd normally consider for this deck. And then we have the Offering to Sea with Heme Flaminica as our finisher. Now, I've shown you Dagur with Offering a few times. This is the Flaminica version. We might have a Dagur also, but just kind of ignore that. He probably will die. Now, there's Fav. Okay, so he's just going to boost himself. He probably has a Simloss and Gourd finisher, I would guess. Although at this point, what was he going to have? Maybe he doesn't play Simloss, maybe he plays Madoc and Geralt instead. Yeah, I don't think he has room for Simloss. So there's our Storm, and we throw down Dagur. Now this is not going to be one of those huge daggers, like 50-point daggers you've seen before. It's not going to be smaller, he's just going to concede. Even without Dagur, Heme Flaminica with Offerings was enough to win the game. And I thought this was really interesting how we had to change our entire game plan. Hopefully that was informative for you guys. It was a bit different, just showing off some different scenarios with a deck that you might normally not run into, or things that you might come up or have questions about after seeing the regular deck guide. Hopefully it was interesting and taught you something and maybe helps you out if you want to play the deck. I really enjoyed this one, and I think I'll keep playing it for my Skellige deck. It is a lot of fun. And we'll see you guys next time.